What's up, Infinite Players? It's great to have you here. Today's session, we're going to be talking about how playing and living infinitely is actually going to save you time. Now, this has been part of a series that we're doing. I think it's going to go for about 10 days or so. And this is the third day. So the last 2 days, we've talked about money, how it helps you make money and how it saves you money by playing more infinitely. So today we're doing the big topic of time. Now, I think this is a big one for people because we can always get more money, but we can't get more time. So as infinite players, that we're always racing against the clock in some ways, because that's what happens in the human game. But there are ways when we play infinitely to actually stretch time and make it almost non-existent. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So we are on live on YouTube as well. So you may not have connected with us before on our Facebook page. Let us know in the comments if you're coming from YouTube or Facebook. But in case we haven't met before, I'm Nat. Over there is Mandy. We're from the Infinite Me, and I'll say every day, but pretty much we haven't done it that much lately. But we were going every single day for many months, talking about how to live and play more infinitely. So not just talk about it. A lot of people feel that they're really infinite, but then they find it really difficult to actually go out and live it. So that's what we're about, actually bringing it into reality, what it looks like every day to live more infinitely, and we're having conversations around that. So there you go. So this topic, all these topics actually came from an exercise that we did. We sat down and we gave ourselves 5 minutes on the clock, and we asked ourselves, how does living infinitely and playing more infinitely actually create more time or save time for you? So, or for all of us. So this was just a brainstorming session we did. They're in no particular order. We haven't actually edited them in any way. This is exactly the brainstorm that came out. Because we felt like we wanted to stay true to that and not change anything. So some of them will seem a little repetitive. We trust that that's because we need to hear it again. So if we go back over something, some of them we'll talk about, some of them we'll just skim over. But let's go. Let's talk about it for the next 20 minutes about how living and playing more infinitely is going to actually save you time.
And what else you could be doing with that time?
What else you could actually do with that time instead?
Like
All right. So removing worry from your life, and be amazed at how much more time you actually have available. How much time do we put into worrying about things? Headspace, particularly. Crazy shit.
Caught up in the stories and the thinking about everything.
I
work it out and the house and everything else. So much time goes into that.
Huge amounts of time. If we were all to do that, like I'm not just saying you, if we're all to do that, map out how much time, brain power goes into actually trying to figure stuff out and worrying about future stuff that might happen that probably does never happen. It's actually a huge amount of time, really. And worrying about the future, the past. I mean, like what happened in the past. Like did we do the right thing by that person, or did we say the right thing? I should have said something else. Blah blah blah. Like and I guess that's the thing about living infinitely. You're always in the present moment. You can only live infinitely in the present moment. So if you're going to be living outside of that, then you are either going to be in the past or you're going to be in the future, and that always involves time. So the now has no time. But the past and the future always has time involved. So that's a big one for this.
And the only part of us that worries or thinks about everything or the future is the little, the little me that thinks we're finite and limited in this lifetime as well. So the more we identify with that, then we do spend our time stuck in all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. All right. 2 decades of learning processes. I mean, we've done 2 decades. Not everybody's done that, but 2 decades of learning processes from multiple teachers and gurus, most just repeating the same concepts with different language. I think you did reach that point where you realize it is the same stuff being spoken about over and over again. And instead, become your own guru. So when you're infinite, you are your own guru. You don't have to go off and do courses and books and find gurus and sit there and listen to them. You can actually just, I guess, live moment to moment and have your intuition actually speak to you, which is your guru. Your direct connection back to the universe, to God, to the infinite, whichever you identify with. And you are in the moment. You get everything you need in that moment. You don't need anything else. You don't need to fill your head with a whole bunch of I guess, knowledge and stuff that we do. Like, I don't know, that's fun. Like, we've done that as well. We've done heaps and
Yeah.
heaps of courses, and you get caught in that. I need to have more knowledge about how to live infinitely, or how to be more godlike, or spiritual, or conscious, or awakened, or enlightened. All those things that we're sort of, they're all different terms for the same thing. And we feel like we need more knowledge. We're filling our heads constantly with so much knowledge about how to do that, rather than just trusting that we are already that. And so you can actually just start living it now, and allow your intuition to actually guide you from moment to moment on that. So there is no time in that moment, sort of thing, like you are just in the moment.
So I think also too, on that point, what you're saying, it is also that we might have learnt a bunch of stuff, but have we actually applied it, which is kind of why we started talking about here about the infinite me, about how do you actually live this, like how do you embody that information now and actually practically apply it into your life. Because I know for myself, definitely so many courses I've done, and I'm sure there's so many people that have done this. You've read a book, you've attended a course, but have you actually then gone and applied what you've learnt? And sometimes the teacher doesn't even kind of really show you how to do that either, sort of thing. It is very intellectual and very heady sometimes as well, and so you stay in that headspace of just knowing stuff, but then what do you actually do with it? Like how do you live it? So that's where that saving time comes in, is if we don't have to keep doing courses and we actually just take all the stuff we've learned and actually start living it and embodying it, and then the time speeds up, if you like, or what the time we have available is much richer because we're actually living it now, rather than just sort of learning a bunch of stuff and staying in our head all the time.
Yeah, and that's very much what we're about at the Infinite Me. It's not about living and having so much more theory and information, but actually you're going out and living it now. Earn back the years lost living confined. So it's sort of interesting when you reflect. I reflect on my past and stuff, how at the time I thought really free and all that sort of stuff, but when I look back now, I was actually seem really restricted and confined, and I was bound by different belief systems and programming and all sorts of things type thing. And it's sort of like you are becoming more open, expanded, and liberated, if you like. I like that word, liberated. So it's sort of, I feel like I'm picking up the lost years now of going through that. It's not to say I didn't enjoy myself at that time, because you don't know any better, so of course you are. But it's almost like I feel now time is almost speeding up in a good way, that I can actually sort of pick up the pace on living this way now. And have more experiences in shorter spaces of time. That's what it seems like anyway. Because I guess you're making, in each moment, bigger decisions and more expansive decisions. Whereas before, in the past, you might have been a lot more confined and restricted, and so the big decisions came a lot less frequently. Should I leave my husband, or should I change my job, or should I move house type thing? Now it's just happening like bang, bang, bang. Yeah, I'm doing this, doing something else. I'm starting a business. I'm going to this country, I'm going to do this now, and it's suddenly like everybody like, holy crap, like it fits so much stuff in. But it's like, because you are so trusting when you're infinite, like you really feel that infiniteness and that connection back to source, then you're quite happy to take those, make those decisions really quickly and just act on them. So it looks to the outside world like there's lots happening all the time.
Yeah. I'm actually just thinking now that actually feels like it's linked into the first couple of things we just talked about, the thinking, like the less confinement comes from the thinking about the same things all the time as well. So it feels like you haven't had as many experiences because you kept thinking about the same things over and over again. So you think about making those choices, you think about what will happen if I go and do that thing. And so it does feel like I don't know, I'm just sort of realizing this now. It feels like you've had the same experience over and over for years. You've just sat on decisions and dreams and not sort of let yourself sort of fully live out your vision. So it feels like it's just gone on for a long time, but nothing much has happened. And then suddenly you sort of jump into and now it feels like all this stuff is happening, having all these experiences because you're actually stop the thinking about it and you actually jump into the action. So I don't know if that resonates, but that just sort of popped in now. It's just like, yeah, that's kind of why it feels different, I think. Yeah. So it's
no, that really resonates. Like, that same head story going on type thing of like the mind doesn't know any different from having a head story or actually doing it. Like, so it's the same thing as on repeat. Like it feels like it's the same thing. Get lost in doing what you love. Get lost in time doing what you love. Oh my God, I love that one. It's definitely experienced that many times.
Yes.
Where time things are going on around you don't even realize. But you're like so absorbed into what you're doing, so present and so focused on that thing that you're doing. That's when you know you're doing what you love, because you're just oblivious to what's usually going on around you. But time just doesn't matter anymore. Like, I don't know whether it disappears or it speeds up or it slows down, or I don't know, like it just is not even there.
Yeah, it's not relevant.
Like, oh my God, how did it get dark outside and putting your lights on? Or, it's like, oh my God, when did that happen? Like,
true.
That's a nice space to be in. Spend time being creative instead of doing mundane tasks.
Yeah, I think other things, when we sort of realize that we can step fully into that being infinite and being more present with things, and other things they're not pulling on you anymore, because you realize that they're coming from an ego space of a need to do something, or I should do this thing, or it's definitely coming from a sense of obligation at times, or to get somewhere or to get something, outside of us. Whereas when we're focusing more on that, then that stuff just doesn't, it's not necessary anymore or something. Or we realize that we do a bunch of things, but do they actually need to be done? Sometimes we just like to be busy for the sake of being busy, because it stops us from, we feel like we're getting somewhere, and so we create a bunch of tasks just to keep ourselves out of probably feeling the void sometimes as well. So
it's true, isn't it? It's
feel productive.
It's so easy to be busy, but like, how productive actually are you? Like, that's more the question. Like,
or how much are you doing what you love to be doing? Like, is it actually actually contributing to your sense of fulfillment, or is it just getting shit done because you feel good on it for a moment, or it makes somebody else feel good about you because you got something done, or you proved yourself, or
just that's it, isn't it? Like, if you're using shoulds and ought tos and have tos like in your sentence before you're doing your task, then pretty obvious it's not what you love to be doing.
True. Exactly.
Bit of a dead giveaway. But it also reminded me of I guess when you're living more infinitely, you don't need to go and, we talked about this yesterday, in terms of saving money by living more infinitely. You don't have to go and do retail therapy as much, and you don't have to go have a whole bunch of stuff around you. You don't even have to fill up your time with friends and family around you all the time, because you're actually quite happy. This is not even on our list, but it's just coming to me now. You don't have to fill up your time with people around you, or social media, or going retail therapy and all that sort of stuff, because you're quite happy just being on your own. Nothing needs to actually be happening in your life. Like, it's only the ego that needs, I'm going to get really bored. I have to have something in my life constantly to fill up that time, because otherwise the mind just sits there type thing. And so it starts creating. That's when we create stories, because it's not doing anything else. I've got nothing to do, so now I'll just create a story.
I think we're afraid of being bored at times, aren't we? Like, we think boredom is a state to avoid at times. So I was thinking the other two with spending time with people. I think it's also too that you become more choosy about who you spend your time with as well. So so you may spend time on your own, but you also choose to spend time with people that you resonate with a lot more as well. You don't feel obligated to spend time with certain friends or family as much as you might have. Like, if you look at your agenda sometimes behind why you say yes to things when you really don't feel like doing those things, and you sort of start to be more true to you, and it's like, in this moment, do I feel like spending time with that person? No, or yes. And then so you save time, I guess, by more quality connection. I think that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and you're quite happy to say no to things as well. I found that over the years is like you don't feel compelled
not
to
feel bad about it too.
every invitation. And it's like, you know what, actually I'm not feeling it. And even if you had said yes to it and at the time you're not feeling it, to actually be okay with saying, you know what, right now I'm actually not feeling it. I'm not going to go, even though I would. So I think time comes into that as well, because you do become more discerning about who you're going to spend time with, but then also what events or activities you'll go and do. Then they become more meaningful because you're consciously making a choice to go and do those particular activities or meetings with people or catch up to whatever you're going to do, rather than I have to go and do all these things. Oh, my favorite one: age with grace and wisdom. Yeah, it's true. I think that's really self-explanatory, but yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at people out the window. Because where we are, we're in Belgium right now. And unlike Australia, where you actually have a front yard and then the road, in European houses, like the house is right on the road. So when somebody goes past, they're actually like 3 feet away.
Right outside your window.
Yeah, pretty much right outside. It's quite. I find it quite distracting because I'm not used to it. It's so weird. like the neighbours are like right there. I think we've touched on this. Expand time by being present. So when you're present, there is no time. So the more present you can be, and we did hear this many years ago, that there is no time, and therefore you won't age. There you go. If you want the tip to not aging, be more present.
More in the present moment. Yep.
Very cool. Imagine being free to do whatever you like, whenever you like. I think it's just that feeling of freedom. So we did touch on this 3 decades of awakenings that you can use to just live instead. There's an idea. Just go live instead of learning about living.
Yeah, true. Which links into the next one about just saving the time that you previously put into doing courses, weekend workshops, retreats, reading books, etc. So it doesn't mean you don't ever go and do any of those things too, but you do it because you would love to go and do that thing, not because you're searching for who you are anymore. Like you know who you are, but you may just want to learn about something because it feels like it's fun or it's interesting or that type of thing as well. So yeah, I know for me that would save me a bunch of time just that I've spent over the years searching for the answer, who I was and what I'm here for and my purpose and all that kind of stuff.
And a little bit associated with that, but slightly different. Save the time you take to meditate to find the answers. So I've done that before, like meditate on it or process something type thing, like the processing time that you have for an event, something that's just taken place. You have to process that.
Analyze something to
analyze
why it happened or
which is probably even slightly different to meditating to find an answer type thing. It's like, I don't know which way to go with this on this decision type thing. I'll just meditate on it. So the time that you're taking to do that, obviously, whereas if you are 100% just in the present moment, being really infinite and really tapping into that, then the answers just come to you. If the answers are meant to be there, they're already in your intuition and available to you.
Yeah, true.
So you can just tap straight in and actually find the answers to that. So things do really speed up. And I've noticed that in my time actually doing business stuff over the last few years, that my ability to make decisions is really quick now because I can just tap straight in. Not always, because maybe the answer isn't actually formed yet. I might have a question that doesn't have an answer right now. I may never have an answer, but so I'm not talking about those situations, but where it is available right now, you tap into that decision that's already been made. And we've talked about this on other lives. So you're not making the decision as a human being. You are, as a human being, tapping into the decision that's already been made on the infinite level, on the universal level.
You're reading it.
And then you are there to take action on that. So you can do that really quickly because you start to really learn to trust that intuitive feeling. You know when you've tapped into it and it's like, yep, that feels really good. Let's do that. We decided yesterday we would go house sitting in Colombia. So Jodie was like, oh, I really feel this Colombia house sit. And I was like, okay, really? She says, yeah. And I was like, I just have enough trust in that process that she's tapped in. It's not even me, that she's tapped into that and that she really wants to do that house. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like,
Yeah.
So the decision was made within, 30 seconds. So complete change of course. And now we were going to go to Mexico instead. Now we're going to Colombia. So it's sort of like those pivoting moments that completely alter your life course pretty much. Happen really quickly, and you're really quite okay with that. And it's like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, again, you don't spend the time thinking about it and justifying it and logically working it out. So that's where that saves you that time too, I suppose, because you are tapping into your intuition a lot more quickly, and you can hear it and you trust it, as you said. So it's, we don't need to analyze it and work out if we're making the right choice, and we'll be redirected if we're meant to be somewhere else.
Another one, things just flow to you. Like that one. So, and the next one was instant manifestations that appear out of nowhere on things you love. When you are tapped in, that's your natural state, is instant manifestation of things that you really so
it's like you exponentiate the manifestation, don't you? Because you stay out of the how to do it. You let consciousness take care of that. You just know this is the way I'm feeling, and you make that decision, and then the stuff starts to line up, and you don't have to be involved in that part of it. And it looks like it happens sometimes instantaneously, sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess you're not trying to make it happen. We've talked about trying before. As Yoda said, there is no trying. There is only do or not do. But it's oftentimes we'll catch ourselves, if we're really conscious about it, about trying to do stuff and trying to create things in our life and manipulate things to make something happen. And so you can drop all of that because you don't have to worry about it anymore. You know that 100% everything that you need is going to be given to you as you go along. It doesn't mean you just sit there and do nothing. You have to still take inspired action in life. But if you're following that course of inspired action, then stuff just turns up. And it's amazing what turns up, even stuff you haven't even imagined could be a possibility, as like suddenly arrive, and it's like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Like, how cool is that? And that Colombia house sit was exactly that for Jodie, because she's always wanted to go to Colombia. It's been on her bucket list for ages. And she just didn't see that on our path next year type thing. And now suddenly, bang, it's like, do you want a house sit? Here it is. It's like, okay, I'll give you an introduction to the homeowners. You can go walk straight into it if you want. I was like, holy crap, okay. Like, that would be awesome. Thank you. So it's that sort of that instant manifestation of things that cross your path all of a sudden, and all you got to do is say yes to it.
Yes.
That doesn't take much time. Just to say yes to something.
Yeah, true.
So that's pretty cool. All right, what's next, man?
Higher productivity, achieving more in a fraction of the time. Yes. I think that one feels more like still around that decision type thing, I suppose, too. It feels like you just know what the next step is to do. You don't think about it anymore. You're not getting stuck in the working it all out. All the unnecessary steps kind of fall away as well. So that sort of links back into a few points ago where we talked about that, where it's like the most streamlined way of doing things kind of starts to show up, and you get rid of all the extraneous kind of tasks that don't need to be done, or somebody else can do them, or they're just not even necessary. Or a more efficient way of doing something actually shows up, it crosses your path because you're open to being in the present moment where solutions actually show up. And we've had that happen many times. Stuff we're working on with the Infinite Me now, or the projects we've got underway that we're going to be launching pretty soon. So it's like we've been seeing that sort of process sort of exponentiate and speed up, if you like, because we're just open to being shown which is the best way to go, sort of thing, and the more efficient sort of solution shows up, like, and you're just like, wow, I didn't see that one, that come out of left field. So I think you do feel like you're getting a lot more space of time, and bigger impact,
I think
as well. So
as well, you just get on with it. Like before, and I still do this definitely. on certain things where you sit there spending your time thinking about doing it. And so like it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's going to take more time, more effort. It'll be far more painful than what you think it's like than what it actually is. Like, and you've got yourself in such a tiz by that point that it's almost impossible like to break through that barrier of procrastination to actually get on with something. Because you've just spent so much time in your head. Whereas I find now I'm on such a roll, like it's just bang, get this done, bang, get that done. Like I'm not even thinking about what needs to get done. It's just like, you're not even sometimes having a to-do list. It's not like you're working off a to-do list. It's just the next step is appearing in your path, like you're saying, man. And it's sort of like, oh, okay, I'm going to do that next. Okay, I'm going to do that next. Okay, I'm going to do that. So you're not thinking about doing those things. You're just doing those things. So,
yes.
I think, you know, you save a lot of time and procrastination as well when you now think about it.
Yes.
You know, that stuff.
Yeah.
Less time processing stuff. We have talked about that. But also saving time on getting lessons and awakenings. You get those almost instantaneously. So again, you don't have to go away and meditate and process stuff unless it's a big thing. Of course, you might feel inclined to do that for sure. Like everybody needs space and downtime and all that sort of stuff. But for the smaller things that you might have once had to have processed a lot, you can just see them instantaneously now. Like the gap between something happening and you actually getting that awareness of something is straight away. And so there isn't those time gaps that have to happen, like maybe once have to happen.
Yeah, and that feels like it's a couple of different things that make that speed up, if you like, because it feels like you drop the need to stuff. So a lot of the stories drop away and the identities that you used to have and or the way things had to be before you could go and do something, or the way you just thought about something, or the judgment you had around something was holding all that in place. So there's less time. You drop all that, so that's not necessary anymore. But also, it feels like you practice it. That's the other point I was trying to think. What the point disappeared. You get more practice at looking at things from the bigger picture, and so it does become just in body as well. So it feels like the stories drop away, but you also get better at doing it too. So so it does feel like you just think about something and the solution's already there, or something does happen, like an event, and it triggers you in some way, but you immediately look inwards and go, okay, what's this telling me? It's like, oh, okay, that's that. Okay. And you sort of move on from it, whereas that might have taken you a day or two to process, or might have taken you out, completely taken you out into an emotional tailspin before. So that changes.
Yeah. And I guess that follows on, see how things serve you immediately, that they happen, so you don't have to for the next 4 hours. So serve you and support you on your story. You actually become really good at that because you know everything serves you. So you immediately ask that question, no matter how negative it seems in front of you taking place and how much of a victim you might actually immediately feel in the moment. You're very quick to turn it around when you're operating from that universal space, because it's like, no, I know everything serves me. So how's it serving me? And it just dissolves straight away because you've seen what you needed to see out of it.
Yeah, it's that question, like, how is, if everything is happening for me and not to me, so it's like, how is this happening for me right now? And ask questions like that to get the more empowering answers to that, definitely.
Yeah, and I guess on the back end of that, you don't have to keep repeating stories like you were just talking about, just to bring that back in again. At that moment, you don't need to repeat that story again because you've already got it. Like you already saw out of it what you needed to see. So you've, again, saved yourself time because now you can go on to a new experience, perhaps more expansive. And suddenly you seem like you're having, like if we go back to what we were just talking about before, you seem like you're having more experiences and more life experiences because you don't have to keep repeating the same story. So if you can see how something supports you instantaneously or really quickly, then it has the opportunity to change and morph into something else.
Yeah, it's true.
So, save years on endless search of the how to and actually embody living infinitely. So I think we've touched on that.
Yeah.
When you focus on embodying what it means to love infinitely, then you let go of the house, or is that supposed to live?
I think it's live. Yeah, I got that wrong. Yeah.
So when you focus on embodying what it means to live infinitely, you let go of the house, which is where all your time and energy gets sucked up.
Yep.
Following on, you move through your emotions quickly and don't get caught up in the stories. Therefore, you have less drama in your life. Now, how much time would we save having less drama in our lives?
Yes.
And that
some
takes
people like to create drama too. So there's some people have a very, sometimes it's cultural as well. Sometimes it's a learnt thing too about certain cultures just thrive on having stuff going on all the time and drama. But some people just get really used to feeling useful when drama is going on around them. They like to be the one to solve the problem or to fix it or to save people. So when those identities start to drop away and those stories, you get to redefine to show up. Like you get to show up and just be rather than have things, because there's nothing to fix at the end of the day too. So the dramas do drop away. Like, or they may still go on outside of you, but you don't get caught up in there anymore. You don't feel the need to jump in there and be the savior or the
true, rescue people.
Yes.
But I guess the dramas take different forms too. Like just before, you were saying that you got caught up today in moving, and there was lots of stuff happening that seemed to be really quite distracting in what you wanted to be doing, which was some work on the infinite me. And it's sort of like that becomes a drama as well. Like if that's a pattern, like to me, drama can also be patterns. So you've had a bit of a pattern that you've talked about before of having distractions come into your life.
Yeah,
time away from what you could be doing, what you should be doing, what you would love to be doing. And so that sort of, to you, becomes a drama because it seems to be sort of taking you away from what you would love to be doing. So I guess it's any sort of distraction that takes you away from what you'd love to be doing becomes a drama for you. So it can be just little things like that as well.
True.
It can be some major family blow up that's gone on for 30 years.
Yes, that's true.
And dramas in the office, that's a big one. We don't have that anymore, luckily, because we work for ourselves. But I know when I was
around money or
hey,
oh sorry, no, I was gonna say around money or something as well. But sorry, keep going. I didn't realize.
Around money, definitely. That definitely can be a drama and blown out of proportion much more than it needs to be. So I guess you handle things differently when you think about that now. If you're having a money problem or a money issue type thing, like you were saying, it can knock you out for a couple of days and you don't know what to do about it. Like you might have a debt collector on the doorstep, wanting their money, or people ringing you for money, or just maybe they're not even doing that. You just feel the pressure yourself to have that money.
Yeah, or you don't know how you're going to get to a certain point. You know that the money will be needed in a month's time, but you don't know how it's going to come about. Or
so you spend a lot of time actually thinking about that rather than letting it go and going, okay, well, I just trust in the future when I need that money, it'll be there. Or not making it a drama if the debt collectors are knocking on the door and you haven't got the money, or they're ringing you constantly as like, I don't have it. Like it just, and you're actually okay to stand in your power and just say, look, I need to go out with a solution because it's not working for me right now. Like you ringing me all the time wanting your money. This is not working for me. So we need to come up with a solution that works for both of us type thing. So you're sort of willing to step more into that power and have to find those solutions rather than feeling the pressure of that and feeling like the victim and feeling like I don't know what to do about it type thing. And so it just takes up such enormous amounts of time and energy and headspace to actually deal with that. The mental mind chatter stops or reduces. I guess this is associated with that. And you find yourself more time that previously would have been spent in stories or processing how you feel or what you're going to do about something.
That's strategies and
strategies.
How.
Hows and strategies always mean that you're not being infinite.
You only definitely the present moment, thinking about the future all the time, projecting outwards.
Only the little you need strategies for everything. The rest of it's all worked out on the infinite level.
So the power is always outside of you when you do that too. Like you don't have access to that infinite power. So it's when it's always outside of you and something to be fixed and solved and worked out.
I'm going to skip through a few of these because we've actually
we've done a lot of them.
Yeah, I've done that one. Spend more time following your true heart's desire because you're no longer trying to fill ego needs. We did touch on that.
Yeah.
More quality time to spend with those that you love instead of chasing money or status. That's a big one. Oftentimes we can get caught in that very inadvertently. We think that we're in our business and we're excited about it and all that sort of stuff, but then eventually it sort of does, the agendas of money and status and all that sort of stuff can come up, definitely. And then we look back, 5 years later and go, oh my God, I spent so much time working on my stuff. I didn't maximize my time with my family, or seeing things as you travel, or that's our big one. You're working behind a computer the whole time. You're not actually doing stuff that really is important to you, I guess.
A lot of time because you are being driven. I think we talked about this yesterday, but you're driven by those ego needs. It's not a true inner fulfillment. It's driven by the part of you that feels like it's going to miss out if it doesn't have this thing, or it needs recognition outside of us, or acceptance. So we do these things because we think we need money to be accepted or to feel secure and all these things, but they're always that outer ego need, sort of driven by the little part of us, not the inner part. So there'll be, when we're not trying to fill those needs all the time, then we do have time to just follow what's actually true for us in the moment, what will actually fulfill us.
We touched on a little bit yesterday in terms of saving money, is that generally when you're playing infinitely, you'll have other infinite players around you, hopefully, a bit of community, and you can bounce ideas off people and stuff like that. So they might have more expensive ideas, tapped into their intuition, on a particular thing. It just saves time than having to test things all the time and go out to market with things and then go, oh, I'm not sure about this message, or whether that needs to go out, or should I do this, should I do that? When you're surrounded by more infinite people and a community, then that can actually really save your time as well.
You can brainstorm and mastermind with other,
so,
say, entrepreneurs or business owners or that type of thing. And definitely save a lot of time that you would think about it just yourself, from a limited little knowledge base that you have. You can tap into a whole bunch of other people and expedite the process.
Yes. All right, last one. You draw on your years of expertise and knowledge gathered over the years instead of having to keep learning and searching. You already know all this stuff. You don't need to. You just have time to apply it now. You know that you don't need any more information. So that's it. There's our list. You might have other ones, if you do, that you came up with that sparked for you, that we didn't talk about. Please put it in the comments, because I think this helps people.
Definitely.
If we can make these brain bridges, like we've been talking about over the last few days, which is a term that Jennifer Hoff, one of Mandy's mentors, came up with. And it's making those connections, those neuron connections in the brain of how being infinite actually will do X, Y, Z. And at the moment, that's what our series is about. How is it actually helping you with different areas of your life, things that are important to you? How is being infinite actually going to help those things? And today was on saving time. Yesterday we did saving money. The day before that we talked about making money. Which is really important.
Because you're more likely to make something a priority when you can see how it's actually assisting you, and when it's aligned with your values, then you're going to priority, which is what everything we're talking about here is like, rather than just talking about living infinitely, how do we actually make this a priority, and what does that look like? Because we often learn all this stuff, but we haven't actually put it into practice, because we go stuff all the time, even inadvertently. We're not aware of it still half the time, but it's like, okay, that choice to actually step into it fully is like, what does that look like, and how can we assist ourselves? So if we can, the benefits of saving time or saving money or making money, then we're more likely to kind of go, wow, I'm going to make this a priority, and embodying this and stepping into living infinitely and doing what it takes.
Very cool. Well, there you go. 40 minutes of how you save time. All right. Thank you very much for joining us. Put in the comments, as I said, any other tips or brain bridges that you've come up with during our time. And we'll see you again tomorrow. I don't even know what we're talking about tomorrow. What are we talking about tomorrow? Tomorrow we are talking about what saves you effort. So how being infinite is actually going to save you effort.
So something you some things you don't have to do anymore. So it'll save you a whole bunch of effort. Yes.
Yep. Very cool.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Bye.
All right. Bye. Go and save yourself some time.